The date is February 2nd, 2010. I'm coming home from college wanting to fire up my PS3 and play some Battlefield Bad Company, when I stumble across a news website called GameSpot with an article saying that a demo for the next Battlefield game is due to launch on the PS3 in 2 days' time. At this point in my gaming life, I'd not really bothered keeping up with the constant movements of the industry, and I had absolutely no idea that another Battlefield game was even in development, so this news came as a big surprise. I'd been playing the first Bad Company game for about 3 months by this point, but I'd not poured a huge amount of time into it. I had other commitments like schoolwork and football practice that sort of took precedence. But the addiction to the Battlefield franchise, that started on February the 4th. I poured over 100 hours into the Bad Company 2 demo alone, and I knew the Port Valdez map like the back of my hand on Rush. The pathing, hiding spots, the perfect places to chuck nades to clear out those trees, all on that first MCOM base up to the sniper hill, all of that was in my back pocket after just the first few days, and I was totally hooked on this game. My experience of Bad Company 2 when it was the main Battlefield game, so back in 2010, 2011, that all happened on the PS3. At the time I was 16 and I wasn't in the position that I am today. I couldn't buy my own gaming PC. It was something that I really wanted. I'd been saving up for it for a while, but when Bad Company 2 launched, I put that on hold simply because I enjoyed the demo so much, I was prepared to stick with my PS3 for a little while longer. Nowadays, I'm a seasoned PC player, about 6.5 years experience on the platform. A controller now feels alien to me, but back then, Bad Company 2 was the game that taught me how fun first-person shooters could actually be. It was the first online multiplayer shooter that I'd stuck significant hours into. I had this really cheap Bluetooth headset at the time that I could hook up to my PS3, and I'd put it on sometimes and I'd just talk to the people in my squad. I'd just say, hey, I'm coming to revive you, or here's some meds or whatever, just offhand comments. But I remember one specific match, I think it was about a week after launch, with this guy called Des UK. I joined the squad, and it must have been a clan squad because there were 3 of them in there. They all had a certain thing after their name, because I don't know if clan tags were enabled at the time. Might have been a clan tag, I can't remember. But they were trying to fill this squad, and I just took the 4th spot because I was like, hey, you've got 3 or 4 people, I'll just be your 4th guy. They weren't really talking to me to begin with, but I took on the role of support in the squad, or what it was called medic at the time. And I could tell these guys meant business just by the way they were talking to each other. They were talking about different paths they could use, different weapons they were going to attach, the different gadgets or whatever. And they were just having a really good conversation about some in-depth stuff that I hadn't really thought about at all at that point. Don't forget, this is only about a week after launch, and this is my first major online first-person shooter. So I didn't have a huge amount of experience. These guys were way above my level. The round we were playing was Arica Harbour Rush, and we were attacking, which is arguably one of the best map and mode combos still to this day in the Battlefield franchise. It's one of these rounds that I just remember really, really clearly. The 3 clan members, they set about doing their own thing, and I just basically supported them. I had a PKM machine gun, I had basically nothing unlocked on the medic class, and I just said to myself, go on, just revive them, just give them the health that they need, and maybe they'll help you out. I got a few thanks off of the mic every time I picked them up. They did get killed quite a few times throughout the round, but here at the start, it was just like one word, thank you. And I was like, well, that's cool. I mean, I revived them and, you know, we're communicating here. It's not like they're ignoring me, so I thought I was making progress. We took the first set of MCOMs. I think we had about 20 tickets left to spare, which was a good start, actually, on Arica Harbour. It can be really hard to take those first objectives, simply because you have to move so far from the deployment to the first compound. But it kind of went downhill from there for a little bit because the enemy pushed themselves up behind the compound, and there's a hill on there and there's lots of rocks and really difficult to shoot them. And we tried to push down the hill, and the enemy team had pushed right up, and it made it basically impossible for us to get past that point. Now, so far, I'd only got about 5 kills. I died a couple of times, but I was mainly reviving these guys and keeping them alive because They were doing the majority of the work, but I switched away from supporting fire here. I was just like full-time reviver at this point. These guys kept popping their heads out from behind cover. They were taking damage and dying, but I would be there literally within 2 seconds to get them back up off the ground so they could carry on fighting, and we wouldn't be losing tickets in the process. So I thought I was doing a good job. I got more and more chatter from these 3 guys as I kept reviving them, and slowly but surely we made it down the hill. I used a little bit of suppressive fire. I was sort of like distracting the enemy's attention, and they would run from rock to rock so they wouldn't get shot, throwing grenades all the time because Bad Company 2 had a massive grenade problem, but it was effective nonetheless. After about 5 minutes of fighting on this hill, one of our guys in the squad finally managed to break through. He got round into the town and armed one of the MCOMs. By this point, I was fully engaged in conversation, and of course, as soon as he armed the MCOM, the enemy team got completely distracted, used a bit more communication, pushed down into the town, took up a position in the upstairs of one of the buildings, and I was just laying down suppressive fire over this doorway so none of the enemy team could get through without just sort of getting sprayed by my machine gun. At this point, the first time in my Battlefield career, I can actually remember actively working with teammates as opposed to just playing my own way and maybe passively helping people by dropping med packs and stuff. It did feel really good at the time. Now, the last set of MCOMs on Arica Harbour, they are really hard to take if you're an attacker. They're both contained within a half-constructed building, which is then usually full of enemies trying to defend it, and this round was basically no different. Des and the other 2 guys in the squad, they pushed up into the building. I was backing them up. We killed off a few guys on the ground floor, but then I got killed. So the tables flipped a little bit here. Des decided to pick up my kit and revive me, and I ended up with his M416. Without needing to talk to one another, we just swapped roles instantly, didn't think about it, and just set to work. Des started chucking down med packs like there was no tomorrow, and we pushed the downstairs area whilst another squad ended up arming the MCOM because we got a little bit stuck when I got downed. We ended up pushing up the stairs. I died a few times because I was now at the front with the assault rifle, but Des picked me back up, I kid you not, in like half a second. He must have just been standing behind me with the defibs, picking me up every single time. Me now playing assault, I was dropping ammo at any opportunity. That was keeping us topped off, and we made it to the final MCOM. When you take that final MCOM in that building, you don't drop out of the building, you stay in it, because the enemy are going to come for you. They came really, really fast, but Des with my PKM was just trained on the stairs, covering anyone in bullets, and we just pick off the rest as they emerged one by one. We sealed the game with about 10 tickets remaining, and everyone was super happy, as you'd expect, but for the first time, sort of inside, I'd had a game where I genuinely felt like the squad made a huge difference. And now, looking back at that 7 years later, having played loads of different Battlefield games, I can understand why now squad play is so important to the Battlefield franchise. It gives you such a good feeling. There were GGs all round in the chat, everyone was talking on the microphone, and you could tell there was like a really good feeling in the squad. And I was just a random guy who joined. These 3 other guys were all part of some clan that I'd never heard of before, I'd never spoken to these guys before, and yet I felt like I had a connection with them because we were playing this game together. I don't think you can beat that teamwork moment where you thought you'd lost it all, but everybody came together at the final part of the match, all worked together, and we won. It just felt really, really cool, and I remember that match so vividly because it was the first time for so many things in my Battlefield career. Bad Company 2 represents the point of which I entered the Battlefield franchise properly for the first time. I did play Bad Company 1, but I didn't really play it enough to get a proper grasp of how that game felt. So Bad Company 2, for that reason, because it was the first major title that I played, will always remain my favourite Battlefield game. I now run a business all about this franchise thanks to Bad Company 2. The slower, more methodical gameplay, that suited me down to the ground at the time, and it allowed me to appreciate what kind of game I was actually playing. Because at the time, Bad Company 2 was one of the best looking games on the market, and that's due to the use of the Frostbite engine. That sort of picture in my mind hasn't really changed now we've got all the way to Battlefield 1. There's no arguing that Battlefield games have always looked really, really good. By today's standards, Bad Company 2 does look dated, but you can whack the settings up on the PC version and still get a really, really good experience. The game's still got servers running on the Xbox, PlayStation and Steam. There's plenty of players playing Conquest and Rush in different lobbies, quite happily playing through some of the best maps that this franchise has ever seen. I feel really, really lucky that this was the game that I played first in the Battlefield franchise. Lots of people always ask me to go back and play older Battlefield titles, but I always refuse to do that. And that's because I don't feel like I'm able to enjoy them in the same way that they were meant to be enjoyed, because my expectations are very different. They're now set at a 2017 standard. If I didn't play the game previously when I was younger, when that game first came out, I don't think I'll be able to appreciate it in the same way. Many older games just don't hold up anymore, and I'd hate to not appreciate them for what they were supposed to be. I feel really lucky that I got to play Bad Company 2 in its heyday, because it's without a doubt the reason I am here where I am today. I do owe this game a hell of a lot. So there we go, Battlefield Bad Company 2, the start of my career in the Battlefield franchise. I'm going to follow this video up with a few more episodes over the next few days, covering the rest of my Battlefield career, but I hope you enjoyed my story from Bad Company 2. Maybe share some of your memories below of this game if you played it down in the comments section, and I'll reply to some when I get the chance. I'm currently on holiday in Spain, so my internet usage is going to be limited. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.